Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest CADS chat. This is episode 11, and I just looked. The first one of these we did was in 12th of September 2014. So we're kind of coming up to 9 years of this. We've only done 11 episodes. We are lacking. We're not very committed to this, are we? It's just a nice chat between friends and friendly people about probably one of the most stressful things that's going on in our lives at the moment. And I say that as someone, I've got a pregnant wife upstairs who could start giving birth any moment. Who knows? So, all of that, I put a little list up earlier of the things we're going to talk about today. And the first thing I put up was the Harry Kane debacle. I would like to keep this short because I think everybody's sick of this. So, I kind of think, what do you call it? It's a primal scream. If we do like a group, no, let's not do that. Just how frustrated is everybody by this thing, and how many people would just like there to be some kind of resolution?
I've got to the point where I don't care. I mean, I love Harry Kane, but I saw Jimmy Greaves leave. I saw Glenn Hoddle leave. I saw Waddle leave, Gascoigne leave, Bale leave, Ginola leave. And you get to the point where you say, okay, they're gone. There's going to be another hero comes along, and Harry is the most recent hero in that list.
Mm-hmm.
But if he goes, I wish him all the very best. I actually don't think he'll go. I think he's going to stay and break Shearer's record, or I hope he does. I want to see the look on Shearer's face when he does it. But you get used to players going. So I'm philosophical about it. If he goes, he goes. If he doesn't go, he doesn't go, and that's it.
That's fair enough. I have to say, all those names, you think there was one I think you missed off, and that's Ledley King, who, of course, retired when playing with us. He was there from boy to man all the way through, and now, of course, he's a club ambassador and probably one of everybody's favourite players.
I think probably the best defender I've seen at Spurs in 60 years.
Yeah. Fantastic guy. Let's hope Mickey van der Ven is as quick, because he was rapid when he needed to be. And we're going to need some pace at the back. But we'll come to new signings and things like that later on. Anybody else got anything to say on this completely apocalypse? There we go.
I thought that was a great T-shirt. It's
completely genuinely first thing I put on this morning. Couldn't be.
The apocalypse awaits us.
Apparently, this whole thing's my fault because I put the wrong T-shirt on this morning. So...
No, I concur with Oz. Absolutely. Nothing more to say. Bring on the season. We'll see what happens.
And will anyone be upset if the deal is actually less than £100 million? Because it's been talked about. The price is £100 million. The highest price is £100 million. The price is £100 million, so they say. And now they're saying, oh, it's more than €100 million. That's 100 million euros is 86 million pounds. So are they there? Do you think we got them close?
I think that 200 million.
This whole discussion is, we're acting like we are chairman of a football club ourselves. We have no idea. We're all sort of trading these numbers down around like we're in the know, we're in the market, we know what the going rate is. We have no idea. And the outcry among some Spurs fans, I understand Spurs fans are upset right now for good reason. But then sort of the criticism of Levy for not getting this amount of money or that amount of money, or not doing it on this timescale or that timescale. I mean, honestly, people need to grow up a little bit and, need to, accept that the situation is to a certain extent out of his hands, right? He has to, in the end, come up with a sensible value for a player that's going to, have a zero value in a year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the way it is. And I think there's a little bit of maturity about this, as some of the senior Spurs fans like us will point out, we've seen these things, we've seen players come and go. It happens. It's not the end of the world. We've seen this many times. Harry Kane was a great Spurs player, and that has to come to an end sometime. And it's not going to be easy when it does. And that's just the way it is. I personally, I'm not. I find I'm quite sad about it, but it doesn't change my excitement for the coming season. So I'm extremely excited for the coming season, and I don't think I'm quite surprised I find myself saying this, but I don't think it moves the dial that much. about expectations for the coming season, and not in the same way it would have done for the last 2, 3, 4 years.
Yeah,
Well said.
agreed.
Well said.
The other thing that I find has been quite interesting, looking at Kane, the whole situation over the whole preseason, Richarlison has been given pretty much equal minutes. And realistically, he actually seems to fit Big Ange's way of playing better than Kane does. I know in the game against Shakhtar, there were times where I felt that Kane was dropping out of the position that Ange wanted him to be. He wasn't playing as the fulcrum. He was trying to drop too deep and trying to get too involved in play, where everything I've seen about Ange, he wants him further up the pitch and stretching them and pushing that back line as far as he can. And that's what Richarlison does. So, part of it goes, well, we could end up with a player leading the line that is effectively better suited to the system. He's not a better player, but he's better suited to the system, and that might work out for us overall.
I think that if Harry stays, he will make sure he fits into the system. He's an intelligent player. So I think whether he stays or goes, I think we'll be okay, because I think we'll have more players contributing goals than we've had for the last 3 or 4 years. And I think Kane will listen to what Postecoglou wants him to do, and he'll do it.
Absolutely.
The season before last, Sonny got 23 goals, and I believe Richarlison at Everton got 10 goals. You hope that they can bring those goals back up. And then, as Oz just said, I think there's goals in this team, with some of these other players. Kulusevski has to score. Mod is going to score. Gio is going to score. There are goals in this team.
Skippy.
Apparently so.
Hey, go on.
Header.
How much of a surprise was that?
But talking of Oliver Skipp, did you see that thing that Panit posted a couple of days ago? That piece of where we played out of defence, and the ball went to Skipp halfway between our area and the halfway line. He played the ball, and he then sprinted to the edge of their area, and he looks as though he's absolutely committed to being an attacking midfielder.
I think Oliver Skipp is the consummate professional. I don't think he's the most talented player in the squad, but I think if you give that guy a job to do, he will absolutely do it. I remember maybe in the last chat we did, certainly on CADS, I've said previously, you give that guy a job to do, he'll do it, but he's not the most creative. He's not going to be making and scoring a lot of goals. What do I know? 2 goals against Barcelona. So, clearly this guy can get the goals when he needs to.
And
this is what set Harry Kane. This is what set Harry Kane apart. Harry Kane it's his professionalism and his dedication that brought him to the level he's at. So I think that this bodes extremely well. But if Skipp can, and that's one of the good things about having Kane around over the past few years. Some younger players will have seen him and see how to apply yourself to the task of becoming a serious pro. And I think that might have rubbed off because there's some echoes in Skipp with his attitudes, which is, as you say, excellent. He's obviously got to have a pretty good engine, right, to get up and down like that. And I think I saw a quote from him the other day saying, after the goal, saying, Ange's been saying, I need to get in the box and I'm happy to do it. And you can just see, this is one of the things about not missing Harry Kane. We're going to keep coming back to that guy. But, the goals are going to be distributed about the team. I don't think we need to worry as much about will Son get this or will Richarlison get that. The whole team is going to be scoring goals, particularly midfielders. They're all going to be flying into the box. They're all going to be looking to shoot. There'll be lots of opportunities. Ironically, I think that the Ange system, I don't think that Harry Kane will be bad at it. I just think it's a bit of a waste of Harry Kane's talents in the sense that what he's good at is dropping deep or roaming, finding little pockets and then shooting from distance. If he's supposed to stay on the shoulder on a really deep defence, picking up scraps, what's the point of having Harry Kane? So I think that yes, he could do the job, but other people can do it too, like Richarlison, for example.
Okay, so let's move on from Harry Kane because we could be here all night talking about the big guy, and if he goes, it will be sad. But as everyone has said, we've seen it, we've been there, we've done it. We'll move on. We'll bring in some other players, and it will be fine. It will be fine. Repeat after me. It will be fine. There we go. Fine. Okay, right.
Oh, it won't. It'll be the apocalypse. Come on.
All right. So one of the things that Matt suggested was let's talk about the things we learned from the friendlies. What did people learn from the friendlies?
We're seeing a lot of players that look a lot more comfortable in this system now. They look so much more natural. Basuma is one that just sticks out. His game is what it was at Brighton. We're seeing the Basuma from Brighton. We didn't see that last season at all under Conte. So I mean, the rebirth of Gio is another one. We're seeing a lot of that. We just talked about Skip's energy levels. In fact, I know I'm going to bring us back to Kane. I think the media, the narrative in the media is that Tottenham and Tottenham supporters are the losers in this whole scenario, that Bayern and Kane are the winners. I don't think so. Actually, I think Kane would be one of the biggest losers if he goes to Bayern, because the energy levels and the attitude seems to be so positive right now amongst the players that I think he's really missing out if he leaves. That's a complete change. That's a complete change from what we've seen the last 3 years, where players just look like they're beaten into submission to a system that they don't believe in, that they aren't excited about, and that they aren't naturally fit to play.
Well, apparently Harry is reflecting on exactly this point right now, supposedly, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see how that works out. But go and join Thomas Tuchel, of all people. He of the never end this handshake, please. I mean, he seems like a total. I'm going to try and avoid swearing, but you know the kind of words that I have in mind right now. And we go and join that guy? Really? Okay, good luck, Harry.
Right. Out of the Conte,
because he so enjoyed playing under Conte, managers exactly like Tuchel. Oh, bless you.
Thank you.
I mean, I guess Tuchel does play reasonably high, high press as well. So it won't be that dissimilar in that sense, but just the vibes, Ange seems to be the vibes king. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I totally agree with your points, Dave, about the preseason. I thought it was really encouraging. I think Bissouma seems to be. The level of confidence that he showed playing against Barcelona was ridiculous.
Yeah,
I don't think I've seen any player not that I've seen that many games against them, give Barcelona so little respect. So no respect at all. It was like he was rolling out to, turning up to play Stoke or something. I mean, just no bother at all. Just, playing. I mean, he almost got into trouble. He managed to get out of it and draw a foul. But, generally speaking, he was playing with ridiculous levels of confidence and with the skills to back it up. So what can you ask for?
Shades of Dembele, could I say?
Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe not strong.
Absolutely.
Not strong on the ball, but maybe better with. No one had better touch than Dembele, and the strength on the ball was ridiculous. But maybe slightly more sort of trickery and skills on the ball than Dembele. But yeah, in that ballpark for sure.
Some of that confidence comes from the Ange system, where he expects players to make themselves available. So when you're dribbling around someone like we see him do at Barca, someone out there is working their butt off to get open. And that's a complete difference. And how many beautiful little triangles do we see in that match, right? Yeah. Since you're a kid, you're taught about the triangles and having those options. And we're finally starting to see it again after 3 years of absence.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
until the 70th minute. And I think the game stopped on about 70 minutes, if I recall. Yeah. I don't think anything important happened after that. But up until that point, we were playing them off the park. It was brilliant.
Yeah, as I said in the review of that match, I mean, when they made their subs, they brought on players who were better than the ones that they were replacing. When we brought on subs, they were worse than the players they were replacing. So we brought on some youngsters. You didn't get to bring on anyone like Ansu Fati or anyone like that who is the kind of player that can make a difference. So I loved the game. I thought the game was brilliant. I really enjoyed it, and I have enjoyed much of the preseason. There were a few scary moments against West Ham. But pre-season has been a breath of fresh air. We've had at least 26 shots on target, I think, per game.
Yeah.
Whereas we were lucky to get into double digits under old Tordo
all season.
We're really seeing this thing about Ange wanting people to take risks, and you can see the freedom that the players are playing with on the pitch. And this is when we've had, I think that at times Poch did this for Spurs, just give the players confidence, allow them to express themselves. Gareth Southgate at his peak was doing that surprisingly well for England, where England are used to sort of playing within their shells and playing with fear. And the key to these kinds of teams is to just play without fear, express yourself, don't wait to lose, go out and win it. And I think it's hilarious how annoyed Ange gets when someone hoofs it. I mean, I saw the other day against Barcelona, I saw Vicario kick the ball off the pitch from, I don't think it was a goal kick or something, but he spooned it off the pitch. And it was just a miss kick, right? It was no big deal. But the look on Ange's face, like, he was storming around the touchline. What is the matter with you? I mean, I guess he could have played it short, but this is what people get roasted for. Just hopeful hoofs. Which is it's great. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep. No, absolutely. A lot of fun, a lot of enjoyment so far, and I think we're going to see that throughout the season. I think we're going to have a few games where the results go against us. Obviously, we're not going to win everything. And I think there are going to be certain elements of the fan base that need to just accept that we're not going to win every single game, and we're going to have a few freak results. We lost the West Ham game. We shouldn't have lost the West Ham game, but we could very well lose against Brentford on Sunday. They're a good team, and they've had a good pre-season. So, if we do, I've got a feeling there'll be a few members of the fan base out there going, "Oh, this was the problem. We should have brought this guy in. We should have spent more money and brought in the top class." The same kind of thing we've seen, load of complaints from certain groups over the last year now. It's just got worse and worse.
But the results will it will partly come down to results. But while for a given set of results or scorelines or points, let's say points, for a given number of points for a certain number of games, Mourinho was always going to get more flack, Conte to a certain extent as well, and I think that Ange will get less, because I think that there will be. I think that his reputation, or lack of one, in some people's eyes, will be overwhelmed by just the goodwill that Spurs fans will have for a manager playing this way. I'm really optimistic. I'm usually a bit on the optimistic side, but I'm extremely optimistic, unless he really screws up. If he's competent...
It's my job to be the optimist. Thank you, Matthew.
I'm afraid me and Andy, we're always going to be competing for that crown. But sure, you can have the top optimist title. No, but I think that he's going to, as long as we play okay, he's going to get time. And okay, I mean in terms of points, because the performances will be fun, the games will be fun. We're so desperate for that now. I can't see unless he turns out to be totally incompetent, unless the game plan doesn't work at all and we get ripped to shreds game after game after game. I can't see him having much trouble. He'll get some time.
When you think against Barcelona, we were without Maddison, we were without Harry Kane, and we had Pedro Porro at right back, who's a dreadful defender. If Emerson had been there, we probably wouldn't have conceded 2 of the goals. And
Reggie as well. Reguilon was a mess.
Yeah, yes. Udogie can be a starter as well as I'm concerned.
The precision of our passing has been excellent in the football I've seen. And I think if we play like that, then Ange will get space from people, because it's actually enjoyable to watch.
Van der Ven is going to struggle to get into the team with Sanchez playing that way.
Yeah, I don't know about
that. Unbelievably good. Sorry, you just have to give credit. I mean, I was waiting for the brain fart. I was waiting for him to have his usual brain fart. It just didn't come. I just thought it was brilliant. I mean, what can you ask for?
He had a much better game than we've seen from him. Probably one of the better players on the pitch, certainly in the defensive side. And you've got to remember that wasn't at all the first 11. That was very much a rotated side. Probably 4 or 5 players maybe would be in our first 11 when we kick off with Brentford.
I mean, to most people, it's a B team. So most people are assuming. I mean, I think Basuma is the obvious shoe-in. I'll be very surprised if he doesn't start. Vicario, of course. Yeah. With no choice there.
And I think Porro's got a chance. I don't know. It wouldn't be my choice. It wouldn't be my choice, but I think Ange likes him, so I think there's a chance there for him. Kulusevski, He's definitely in with a chance. So, yeah, there's good players throughout the teams, and this brings us on to another point. Who has impressed you in pre-season? Who's been the standout player for you? Who's made you go, oh, hang on? Because I know Lo Celso has made me change my mind. I thought he was on his way out. Last time we talked, we went through the list, and I was like, yeah, GLC, he'll be gone. He'll be gone. I don't think so anymore.
I think I may have been one of the people saying, hang on a minute. I was keeping him on my PowerPoint. Oh, I think I might have to claim some credit for that one. No, but had we already seen? We had not seen the West Ham game yet, had we?
No.
It
was before any of that.
I always had high hopes that he would get another chance, but I'm glad to see that he did. I think Bissouma and Lo Celso together were making a really nice. There was a really nice rapport between them. They were really looking for each other. They were playing some nice, tidy passing between them. I guess we're always going to have that slight concern over Lo Celso that he's a bit left-footed. So, but he seems to manage to make it work. Okay in tight spaces. I think that at this point I'd be quite surprised if Lo Celso was sold. I mean, we need a sort of number 10 style player. And we've got that in Maddison. I'd quite like to see both play if that's not too reckless. But I think we need Lo Celso. And I think we don't need Ndombele, although, as usual, Ndombele just sort of disappeared from view. Supposedly injured, but I have my suspicions.
No, apparently he did pick up a genuine injury in front of proper journalists. So,
okay. So does that mean that he's going to stay there? Because if he's injured, he won't.
Well, apparently Fenerbahce put in a bid today, according to all the press. So there's a chance he'll go. And considering one of the things that Andrew said throughout the thing is every player needs to be physically ready. They need to reach my levels, my desired levels of physical preparedness. I don't think Ndombele reaches those levels. So I think we'll take a massive loss on him when he goes, because I don't see anyone spending big money on him. But
it'll probably be another loan.
Wages he's on as well. The wage savings will be really nice with him. So even if we only get a 12 million, pound fee, like I've seen whispered, the wages will be a nice bonus. I think for me, the player that shocked me the most, Gio, I kind of thought he had it in him. I thought Perisic was as good as gone. I thought he was a complete goner, and he's actually added on the field when he's been on there. Yeah, he doesn't press as hard as some others, and his defense is definitely always questionable, but he's offered something I did not expect him to offer. So he would be one of my standouts as well.
Yeah, Skippy was talking about the service that he provides. So, laser level quality. He just pings it and he'll put it exactly where it's needed and goals will come. So,
we always knew that. So go on.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I think we've always known Perisic had that in him. He's always had that quality.
Exactly the word that I was going to use. Exactly.
I thought the quality of Oliver Skipp's header from Perisic's cross the other day was absolutely superb. He really committed to get in. He leapt and he actually got power on the ball.
He did, but I thought he looked massively surprised when it went in.
The
first one was really well taken. Really great technique on the first one. The second one was all about commitment and making sure he got there ahead of the defender and really put his head on it properly, right? And that's the kind of ball that could very easily hit the bar or just go over the bar. There's so much whip, so much power on it, and he did really well. I thought he looked surprised it had gone in as well. So
he sort of arrived early and was getting slightly pushed by the defender, so he was sort of got under it as he arrived and just sort of hammered it upwards. Just so happened he was close enough that upwards actually was the goal. No, but it was great. It was like Superman. Forget Jan Vertonghen. You've got a replacement now. Little Skippy flying through.
Hey, you're talking about Skippy. Do you think he's one of the previous managers made mention of? Think he's possible Spurs captain, given that somebody might leave? Do you think he is?
I think he's a bit young. I think he will be. I'm not sure. I think this is. I mean, this is a great question. It's not on the agenda. I guess it isn't. This is a great question. It should be.
We can bring it up.
It's not.
I know what you're going to ask. Who takes the armband?
Well, exactly. I think that's Ash's question. And I mean, who is there? There's not many, because I think you need to have someone who plays. You need to have someone who plays and he's a reliably, one of the first names on the team sheet, and we don't have many of those left. But I saw it mentioned Bissouma. I think it's a good shout.
I was thinking Bissouma, but I was also thinking Sonny.
Yeah, I mean he's very popular, but is he captain material? He seems too much of a loner.
Player I'd like to see as captain would be Bentancur, because I think Bentancur is an absolute Rolls Royce of a player, and I think he's coming back. I've seen him training, so I don't think he's as far away as we thought he was going to be, and I think he could be an absolutely superb captain.
Where does he fit into this team, though? I mean, he's got Lo Celso, who's looking great, but you've also got Maddison, who also plays in that same role, who looks great.
Bentancur could play in goal, as far as I'm concerned. You play wherever you like. Just take a pick. I don't care. Just go on, get out there and do some stuff.
Put him in centre back when Romero is suspended, because we know Romero's going to get suspended.
I think, but I totally agree with that. Bentancur is absolutely magnificent, and it's a scary thought. Bentancur and Bissouma on the same pitch.
How is his English good? I'm only asking this because as a captain, you have to be able to converse with the referees and the whole team. I don't know how his English is, his command of the language.
I don't know. Did you hear Jordan Henderson speak? I mean, you could barely understand a word that guy said. The accent on that guy. Exactly, right?
You mean like David?
I want to hear from Mikara. What do you think, Mikara?
I think you have to be careful to pick a captain who the ref's going to respect and actually really listen to. We need to sort of think about, are they someone that they automatically think is going to be a hothead because they're not going to respect us as much. So I think, unfortunately, we do have to consider that.
We've seen that.
What do you have in mind?
He seems to be pretty emotional and a lot of exasperated looks on his face. And I imagine as a ref that just pisses him off. So you do have to be a bit diplomatic.
Yeah, there's no way Romero needs to stay as far away from the referee as he can at all times.
Yeah, you can just see him pushing him over at some point, can't you?
Richarlison as well. You got to keep that guy away from the ref as much as possible. Yeah. I mean, he's always taking a nap on his back somewhere anyway. So,
I mean, Højbjerg is another one where if he was playing, he's got the he's got the leadership attributes and the leadership attitude. I just don't know if he'll play.
I don't know if he'll be here.
He won't be here. He's too slow. I love his attitude, don't get me wrong, but he's too slow and ponderous. He slows things down when he's playing, and I don't think his decision-making is brilliant. I think he'll be gone.
I think he is prone to a hoof, which isn't the Ange way.
I think if he was playing, the higher up on the pitch he is, the less of a liability he is, and the more he can offer. But, we've got a lot of players like that at this point, and I'd rather not have him get in the way of the likes of Skip. But on the question of captaincy, I don't know if Bentancur is vocal enough. I mean, I know that people say Ledley King was never particularly vocal, but he was a great leader by example. But I still think there's more to leading to it than leading by example. I think you actually have to speak and organise and rally.
That's why I asked about his English, and that's not to denigrate him in any way. You have to be able to communicate.
I think his English is okay. Pretty sure I've heard an interview with him where his English has been pretty good. So I don't think that would be an issue.
I like Skippy.
For 18 months, he should be all right.
I don't think Skippy's an automatic starter. No, I think Skippy is a vital member of the squad, but I don't think he's an automatic starter. I think it's too much competition for his spots.
I'd like to see him progress into that.
I mean, the most senior player in the group that should start, you would think, is Son. But I just want to see him running around the pitch with a smile on his face. Someone pointed out that he already seems to get a bit too stressed as it is. Like, we don't want him to carry any more weight on his shoulders, I think. Just, run, be free, Son. Express yourself.
He does captain his country, doesn't he? I'm pretty sure he's captain for South Korea. So he has that responsibility already. So.
Yeah, right. But he didn't. Maybe he was carrying an injury, but during the World Cup, he kind of looked a little bit like it was weighing on him a little bit.
He had that groin strain, didn't he, all last season? He said he played with pain throughout the season. and he's had that operated on now. So hopefully he should come back better than he was last year. Well, a lot better than he was last year.
But we don't want Son to be in the centre of things, do we? We want him to be on the periphery because that's how he does his stuff. Right?
That's where Ange wants him.
If he's the captain, he feels that he has to take the game by the scruff of the neck. He would just get overwhelmed, as he usually does if he sort of comes deep. He should. I just think it's it just seems to be a bad idea, even if he's in some ways the obvious choice. But it doesn't leave us much. So I guess it leaves us with Basuma, who seems to be reveling in the attention he's getting, and being the center of things, taking on responsibilities to a ridiculous degree, as I was saying earlier. So I guess
what about Emerson? He's absolutely committed, and he's. In my opinion, I think he's the most improved player last year.
Who did you say, Oz?
Emerson.
Emerson.
Yeah.
Emerson Royale. Yeah, seems a bit of a joker, doesn't he? He seems like he has a laugh. I'm not sure if he's particularly serious. I don't know.
So I mean, Matters not in consideration? Like, we're not considered Matterson just because he just joined us? Why is his name not being mentioned at all?
I literally said it at the same time as you just did. Oh. So,
and I didn't think that.
So I mean, that's a good idea. Yeah. I think it's a little bit weird to hand the captain's armband to someone who's just turned up, right?
It has happened in the past, though. It wouldn't be unknown.
If Kane goes, it is more natural, though. It feels like a fresh start, and so to have a player that was just signed, it doesn't seem as odd as if Kane was there. He's the automatic.
Yeah.
This fresh start stuff. Sorry to go back to Mr. HK again, but this fresh start stuff. I mean, it's one of the anomalies. It will be an anomaly. I don't think any of us here seriously think that Harry Kane will sign a new contract, even if he does stay for the next year. He's gone in a year's time. So we have a fresh start now. We're building a system now with a new manager, and things are going to be very different. It feels to me in some ways, I'm not saying I want Harry Kane goal, but I think that if we, restarting how our team works now and then doing it again in a year's time just seems a bit silly. Like, if he's going, just go and let's just work out how to do things as a group with this new way.
Am I right? Am I right in thinking that Harry Kane has captained the games that he's played in pre-season?
Yeah,
he does.
That's very interesting, because Postecoglou must have some sort of idea. If he thought Kane was going, I don't think he'd have made him captain. I just wonder whether the Spurs have known that Kane's staying.
Can you imagine if he hadn't? If he hadn't made Harry Kane,
if he hadn't, it would have been made. It would have been so obvious. It would have been such a red flag to everybody. Oh, there's a real problem here, and it would be made of something in the press. They'd have been like, Postecoglou does not respect Kane, and therefore he must leave. So I think one of the things that Postecoglou has shown throughout his career is there is no deference to senior players if they want to go. If they want to go, he says, "Okay, off you go," and he'll deal with it. We've already got Richarlison. We brought in Veliz, who I've never seen live, never heard of until about a week and a half ago. And now we've signed him, and I think he's best thing ever. So, but we've apparently got a strong interest in Gift Orban, who's going to cost about 25-30 mil, who's got the record for the fastest hat-trick ever in Europe or something, 3 minutes and 50 seconds.
So did you say we've got?
Got an interest in. We have an interest in him. So yeah. Not guaranteed to buy him, but this kind of does bring us on to the next step: is what transfer business do we still need to do?
We need to get players out. Players out. We're so clogged up. Look at our roster right now. I don't know what we'd run up against, but you can only loan so many.
We got 31 players or something, which is way too many.
We need players out. I think as much as we need them in, we need them out. So that's not the exciting, sexy.
Rodon has gone today. Rodon's gone to Leeds.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, maybe there's space for others. I think we may see Tanganga go. He's had interest in him from the past. I don't think Dyer's leaving, which kind of surprises me. But
who? Sorry,
Dyer. There's apparently Dyer is respected for his influence in the dressing room, even if he's not going to be a starter. So,
yeah, Højbjerg's one on the list.
I think Højbjerg's on a list of a couple of clubs, and they want him, but it's dependent on wherever they get other players or not.
Heel is another. I don't know if he's been dealt with. We haven't seen him all preseason, have we?
He's injured. He's just had an operation, so he won't be going anywhere because he won't pass the fitness test. So
I still heard rumours that there was interest in him, which I was quite surprised about for that reason. There still seems to be some talk. Maybe he's a little bit. No, but you're right. He had some surgery, so I guess it's not beyond the realms of possibility. But it would be very odd. I mean, but these outgoings, many of them will go out on loan. In some cases, again. Those kind of things can be dealt with reasonably quickly. I mean, in the last few hours of the window, there'll be a flurry of loan players going out on loan. Yeah. And I think it will probably take care of itself. I think Højbjerg will be sold. Roden went on loan, right? But I didn't read the details. Right. So I think there'll be a few more players like that. I mean, who do we think will actually sell? I mean, Højbjerg is one, but it's not obvious to me there's that hot an interest in anyone else.
Sanchez,
of course.
I can see Sanchez going. We accepted a bid from Spartak Moscow, and then he said he didn't want to go there. What a surprise! He didn't want to go to Russia. Anyone here blame him? No, not.
I've got a funny feeling that he might stay. I don't know. I mean, he's just a better fit. I mean, he's a better fit than Clement Lenglet, who we're talking about bringing in. I mean, I like Clement Lenglet, I do, but he's not that fast, is he? Not as fast as Sanchez is.
He's reasonable, but he's not known as a pacey player, certainly. And the one thing that did surprise me, the game against Barcelona, Sanchez was playing on the left. Sanchez has always been an absolute liability playing on the left, and he had one of his better games there. So
he did cost us the first goal.
I don't know about that.
I thought he got beaten all ends up by the lad that crossed the ball to.
No, so Reguilon didn't track his man, so he was inside Reguilon, and Reguilon was supposed to be with him. So you're right, but it was maybe Sanchez was a bit blindsided, or had to come across and didn't come across in time. I think I would. It was a little surprising that he didn't manage to get over there, but I think that Reguilon also Porro sort of tried to. I think
in Dyer the list, he looked a little caught out too, flat-footed on that one. My knee jerk was Sanchez, but after watching the replay, I don't think so.
Right, me too.
It was a team effort.
It was a complete team blunder. It took the multiple efforts of many, many players to show that bad a performance at that part of the game.
Was it just me who was bricking it at that point? Because we let in bricking it terrified.
Of course, it was Barcelona. We just let in a goal after 3 minutes.
We let in, and then we nearly let in another one right away. But I don't just mean the result. The result doesn't really matter. But what I felt like the Ange ball was sort of teetering in the balance right there of sort of early chaos, because he's totally wedded to this system, and he will want us to keep playing it. But then what happens if everyone gets the fear because the ball keeps going over their shoulder and it's like 2, 3, 4-0, 5-0? What happens then?
In fairness, Matt, I don't think the two fullbacks will be playing in the league match. I think you'll have Udogie and I think you'll have Emerson, who are much better players. So
I'm more talking about the psychological impact. I agree. I agree. I just think it would have been a bit. Wouldn't have been a nice precedent for the players involved that will play. But I agree. It wouldn't have been that big a deal.
It may not have been a nice precedent, but it potentially would have shown Ange the players that he can rely on in situations like that. The ones that continue to try to play the ball instead of resorting to the long ball.
True.
Which I think we haven't had that yet. Yeah. We haven't had that test yet.
On the upside, having gone 1-0 down, I thought the quality of football we started playing was absolutely fantastic. And we actually dominated the next 50, 60 minutes of that game.
Mm-hmm.
with some really nice football, several chances, and we controlled the midfield, which it's Barcelona. At Barcelona, we controlled the midfield. I mean, that's not bad.
Our B team. And I know Stu earlier on said that they weren't playing their first 11. I thought that Barcelona's first 11 was very strong. I mean, their subs were also very strong. It was a bit of a mix. But I think there's only one conclusion. We're going to win the league. You might as well call the season over now. Our B team outclassing Barcelona. It's all over.
You contact Manchester City and let them know. And then once you've done that, we'll just move on from this and just say, yeah, okay, put it in the bag, done. Just hand over the title right now.
Just send them the DVD.
But you've got to get Man City agreeing to this, because otherwise that doesn't count.
I'm sure Daniel Levy's publishing the DVD as we speak. It'll be available in souvenir box, and we'll send that to him the first chance we get, and it will all be over. Yeah. No, I mean, obviously, I'm excited. I was very impressed by that.
Barcelona versus Tottenham, the first 70 minutes make us look like champions. So, but yeah, I know it was a fantastic performance.
Have there been any rumors about Jed Spence? Has anyone heard rumors about Jed? What they're doing?
Transfer list, supposedly.
Apparently, yeah.
Transfer, not loan.
Transfer. I don't get it.
Okay.
Well, I think it's like he probably could do with another loan. It does seem strange to me, because he does seem almost like the prototype Ange Ball type player.
He plays on the left and right, doesn't he?
Mainly right, yeah.
Mainly right.
He did. It was interesting to see him playing. It was interesting to see. Well, I mean, so he's played as a right back, but he came on as a right wing forward, which I was maybe a little surprised about. I was surprised that we're doing that with Spence and we're not trying it with Porro, which seems peculiar to me, because I would say that, Porro is even less of a defender. I haven't seen that much with Spence, I must say, but he seemed okay as a defender. But he looked a bit, I mean, I guess the entire team was a bit flat at that point, but Spence looked a little bit lost and a little bit flat against Barcelona for the few minutes that he played. Wasn't particularly encouraging.
I'm thinking that when Spence went to France last year, Matt, he wasn't getting games for, was it Rennes that he was at?
Yeah, it was at Rennes, Stade Rennais.
Yes. Yeah, Stu probably know more. I don't really follow it.
Yeah, well, obviously I used to live near Rennes, so I do follow their games. They had their standard their normal starting right back was injured for something like 11 matches, and he came in. He was man of the match in his first game, setting up 2 goals. Had a few good performances, and then kind of dipped about the same time as Rodon did. Rodon dropped out the side because, of course, he was on loan at Rennes at the same time. And then basically their starting right back came back and took over, and Jed Spence he didn't make the bench every game either, so wasn't the best move for him.
Well, that's the risk with loans, isn't it?
I watched him against Arsenal for Nottingham Forest last year, and he was absolutely outstanding. He ran up and down the right wing, he cut balls out, he made tackles, he made crosses. He was absolutely superb, but he just hasn't looked that good since.
He's barely had a chance, has he? He's barely had a chance either for Spurs or anyone else. But I think this would be a crying shame. I'm glad that they brought it up. I think that Spence is one of those players that, maybe get him a loan to a Premier League team. That's what I would like to see.
Yeah.
Or, also, if not that, someone who plays football the right way and that really is committed to playing him. And obviously, any loan, there's, the manager at that club is never going to be as committed to their development as players that are actually owned by that club. So it's always a little bit of a risk. But, a good loan, I don't want us to sell him. I just think he's got too much potential.
He'd do well for Nottingham Forest.
Right.
Go back there, stay in the Premier League, and obviously going to a manager he's worked with before, and would probably get a lot of game time because he is better than Serge Aurier. So,
yeah, I think he'd probably be welcome back. It seems like, I'm sure Levy's on their case, saying please, take him back for a loan spell for sure.
Okay, so let's say Kane stays. Fingers crossed. What other incoming transfer business do we need to do? A defender? Anything more than that? One centre-back? Are we done?
We got Sanchez. We got the best centre-back in Europe. I think it's a genuine puzzle. I mean, right. So Van der Ven is an interesting case because he's quite young. So and inexperienced. So we seem to be saying that he's our first choice left-sided centre back, which is a bit of a gamble, it seems. I mean, you hope that he'll hit the ground running, but he's never been tested to this level.
At the money we paid for him, I think you have to say he's got to be first choice.
Yeah.
Do you spend 40 plus million on a player who's not first choice?
Like Sanchez.
No, I'm not saying it won't be first choice. I'm just saying that you don't necessarily throw him in for the first few games.
I'm not sure he'll play against Brentford. Not 100% sure he'll play against Brentford.
But I guess the good thing about Longley, the good thing about Longley is that he knows the furniture. He can sort of come in. He doesn't know the Ange system, but he will be comfortable at Spurs, and it won't be particularly difficult for him to, as a senior, left-sided centre back, to slot in there. So I guess that's the value there, a sort of experienced head.
He's also a ball player, so I think he'd fit into Ange's style.
Right.
Yeah, he's decent on the ball.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And calm, relatively speaking. Whoever plays next to Romero needs to be a relatively calm head. And that's the other thing. We had this last time we had one of our discussions. Who covers Romero when he's suspended? So I know you're
clearly saying Sanchez. So I mean, like,
no, but you were talking about. I think you're quite keen on Tapsoba. A lot of people are. And apparently he can play right side as well. So I think that we need sort of 3 senior centre-backs, don't we, that can all reliably play the system. And preferably the other one should be someone who can play on either side, really.
Actually, the new guy, Ashley Williams. Is it Ashley Williams?
Ashley Phillips.
Ashley Phillips. I saw him a couple of times last year. He's a really cultured player. He reminds me of John Stones or a Rio Ferdinand. He's got really nice footballing skills. I think he's going to be a great player. I don't think he'll get much first team action this year, but I'm actually chuffed to bits that we've got him because I think he'll develop into a top player.
He is 18, which is it's a bit much to ask an 18-year-old to.
Yeah, I agree.
To be that backup. Potentially,
he'll probably go on loan, a development loan. I can't see him touching the first team squad this year, personally. But yeah, I mean, right, very exciting for sure.
Okay. All right, so wrapping it up very quickly, we'll start with Ash and we'll go backwards across the screen. Where do you think we're going to finish this season? Ash, drop you in the deep end. Go for it.
Yeah, right, exactly. I actually saw that guy, Phil Nelty, picking us for 8th, just like we were last season. So I'm a bit concerned about the defense. I'm really excited about everything moving forward. If in doubt, move forward. Mm-hmm. So that aspect of our game is going to be terrific after the last turgid 3 years. Excited. We are going to score goals. Don't know about the defense. Don't know about the goalkeeper. Not tested yet either. So top 4, I don't think so. But in Europe, yes. And yes, I became a Spurs fan. I missed the league win in the early 60s, but I became a Spurs fan, and we always just won cups. And quite frankly, I actually thought, well, that's what Spurs are about. We won cups. We're never going to win the league, but we win cups. In the early 70s and the early 80s. So yes, can we win a cup? I would love to see that. And then maybe get into Europe in one of those positions just below the top 4.
Okay. Oz.
I'm going to put my head on the line. I'm going to say 4th. And the FA Cup.
Okay. Mikara.
Go with 6th. I definitely think we're going to concede some goals and we're going to have some odd matches, but I think it's going to be exciting football, and I think that's what I'm more excited about than where we finish in some instances. So I think we're going to be good, but I think we're going to have some growing pains still.
Okay. Dave.
Yeah, I'm going to go 5th. I think 5th is realistic. I think that would be a pretty exciting finish, honestly, for us, but I think it's something to shoot for, and I'm going to say 5th.
All right, Matt, what do you reckon?
So after saying earlier on that I thought Harry Kane's not going to move the dial very much, I'm going to slightly backtrack on that. I think if Harry Kane stays for the next year, I think we'll finish 4th. Because I think that the mess that Conte made of last season despite that fact, we still managed to stay in touch most of the season. And it was only when he really torched the place that we started slipping seriously down the league. So I think that we have a fourth place quality squad. I'm really strongly have faith in this group of players. I think they're an excellent group with extremely high technical level, and I think they are a fourth place team by quality with Harry Kane. Without Harry Kane, so I'm highly confident that with or without Harry Kane, we'll be sort of playing fourth place level football by the end of the season, and it's just a case of how quickly we can get to that. Without him, I think probably not soon enough, and I think we're looking at sort of fifth, sixth. But I'm with Ash. I think that without European football, I think that we'll win a cup. I think the League Cup, despite the bad draw of having to play Fulham first, I think, maybe whichever one Man City aren't totally focused on at the time is the one that I think we've got a good chance of winning. So I think we'll be playing very strong squads in the cups, which we don't normally do, and I think that I'm quite hopeful. That's cool.
Okay, I'd say I'm with Dave. I think fifth and the FA Cup this season. I think that the top six clubs are very, 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 very difficult to beat. We've got so much improvement across the board with so many clubs. It's going to be difficult. Chelsea aren't going to be as bad as last season. Newcastle's still improving. Liverpool not going to be as bad as last season, although they've managed to get rid of quite a few players and weaken themselves, some would say. But it's going to be a tough old season. But I think, damn, we're going to enjoy it. I think we're going to enjoy the football on available to us so much more than we have the last few years. So that's where we are.
Is that with or without Harry Kane, Stu?
Both.
Or does it? I'm curious because I'm the only person who said a different answer.
No, I think with or without, I think we get fifth. So I think if he stays, we get fifth. If he goes, we get fifth. I think we've got different ways of playing if he goes, and either way we'll be fine. So for me, fifth place, FA Cup win, we'll take that. I think a load of people would be happy. So with that, what do we always say? Come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs!